Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Boston Micro Soldering channel. We have a PlayStation 4 here, a CUH-1115A, local job from Danny in Mattapan. Now, Danny gave this to us because he had received it in a trade and thinks that he may have been scammed. So when Danny got his PlayStation 4, he noticed pretty much immediately that it was missing both the hard drive and the hard drive caddy. Although whoever it was actually left the hard drive screw in there. So we're going to open it up, take a look and see if there's anything else going on with this machine other than just a missing hard drive. We're going to see if it has any water damage, any other missing parts in the inside, and then we'll give Danny a call and let him know if he got a good deal or not. Alright, first things first, we want to grab spare 2.5-inch drive, and I think I can find a caddy for this a little bit later. Just want to make sure it's reading drives. So when Danny powered this guy up, initially he did get a white light. He did get an image on the screen, but the standard error message of cannot read internal storage, obviously because the storage wasn't there. Okay, it's always a little tricky to do these when you're missing a caddy. Just gonna see if it can detect the presence of a drive. Now there are also worries with this that the HDMI port may have been a little bit iffy. So if we can get this into an operating system, we'll see if any other work needs to be done to the port. Certainly doesn't look broken on the outside, just, well, they're all practically broken out of the factory for the first generation PS4s. Let's take a look and see what we got. So we have pulsing blue light. Machine's definitely vibrating a lot. Okay, cannot start the PS4, connected DualShock. This is good because at least it's detecting the fact that we have a drive plugged in. Need to go find our USB recovery drives. Alright, well, if we don't find those drives shortly, this is actually going to be a video on how to create a new recovery drive. right where I left them when I was updating them. Okay. It's always good to keep, a couple around. I keep a full firmware file, PS4 initialize, and I also keep an update file for when we're trying to recover something that might be corrupted but still has customer data on it. This is a very loud machine. So even if we get this working again, we're definitely going to open it up and see what's going on with the cooling system. Let's swap our USB ports because it is not reading their recovery drive. This comes back on in safe mode. And I'm not sure if the microphone's picking this up, but the cooling fan is really grinding. Okay, insert USB drive that contains an update file. 6.2 or later, we have a 7.01 drive installed. Cannot find update file. Okay. Let's take a quick look at the contents of our drive here. We have an incorrectly named file. Looks like when I copied this over, the file name was PS4 update in parentheses 1. It's got to be just PS4 update. I think maybe when we have time, we will do a quick little tutorial on how to do a recovery drive because it's incredibly easy. You just have to follow the steps exactly, or it's not going to be read. Okay. Back to our CUH-1115. Connect DualShock 4. Insert storage device that contains an update file for reinstallation 6.2 or later. This guy's loud. Alright. PS4 will be initialized. All users and all data will be deleted. Yes. Watch the progress on this for a little bit while I try to find a hard drive caddy for this guy. here on the busy desk. And this should match. Okay, restarting, so we're halfway through the installation. One of our blue light of death machines. Oh, and we definitely have an HDMI issue going on here. I don't know if you saw it, but just rotating it, we were getting a lot of reds. Red and snow. Yep. So once this boots into an OS, we'll open it up, take a look at the fan, and also see what's going on with that HDMI port. It's like an old engine. Okay. Halfway there. Got some coffee here if anyone wants some. Alright, restart and we'll see if we have an OS. And the PS logo. Alright, we're in an OS. Excellent. I want to make sure that this guy has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth controller sync before we turn it off. Alright. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are good. Let us try disk read on this system before we open it up. Need our firmware. Looks like disk insert's okay. Reading. And we have GTA 5 beginning to install. Alright. So our Blu-ray drive looks good. Eject is good. Alright, let's open her up and figure out why it's so loud. Also going to get our caddy set up. And our light is off. All right. Now these caddies really are important. I wouldn't recommend most people just jam a stack of alcohol pads in, both because it can lead to your drive overheating if the entire machine is getting hot, but also because they do have these nice little shock absorbing rubber pads on the inside and the outside. So they really do help dampen vibration considerably. It's good to just do a half tightening of each screw. Once you get the fourth one in, you can tighten them all the way one by one. And now we get a nice smooth insertion. Make sure not to lose our PS screw. Now I forgot to mention this console's definitely been opened before. We are missing our warranty stickers. However, what we can hope is that the last user got halfway in and gave up before trying anything that they regretted. how dirty it is. Yeah, got quite a few dust bunnies. But thankfully it looks like no history of water damage at this point, which is great. Do have some kind of odd melted bits on the plastic here. But that's really superficial. Don't need to worry about that. And our bottom side, simply dusty. Get a little bit too much of a pile on the desk here. Okay. Got some little flower buds on the inside. Not that kind of flower, though. And thankfully at this point it still looks like no water damage. So this machine has absolutely been taken apart before, with the power supply data cable routed incorrectly under the mid plate. Which means I need to get this unplugged before taking it out, which is the opposite order of things. So whomever was last in this machine definitely put it back together in not the order they took it apart in. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So if I go to this cable, what we're going to see is that it's actually been routed underneath the mid plate, which it should not go. That's really putting a lot of stress on the cables. Also, our Wi-Fi cable is essentially outside of the console. All of this, no big deal to fix. Just make sure we get all these unplugged before we take the board out. Well, not entirely necessary considering they were put together in the opposite order. Yeah, this board has definitely been taken out and put back in, which could also be the reason for overheating if the thermal paste was never replaced. Got still some more dust bunnies. No shims on the APU clamp, thank God. It's always the worst thing to find is you open these guys up and the only reason they're turning on is because somebody put washers on top of the processor. Alright, see what Danny's board looks like. Still not too much dust on the inside yet. No water damage to our board. Just a lot of dust bunnies. And now when we take this board out, we are going to have to account for this cable being in the wrong place. Also, make sure I don't make my own mistake and leave the Blu-ray data plugged in. Our black board screw is also missing, so we don't need to take that out since it's just not there. Okay. Let's fix this cabling now before we forget and make the last person's mistake. On our power supply. All right, that is definitely the original thermal paste. So whoever opened this last time probably lost a little bit of the material and did not replace it. So we are definitely going to clean this up. Replace the compound with new. And see if Danny's PS4 is still screamingly loud. Now, if you ever encounter these caked on, you really don't want to scrub hard with an alcohol pad. I like to just kind of grab something a little softer, like the end of a Q-tip, to get the last bits out. Once it's dried, it does kind of flake out. Try to get all this off with one alcohol pad, but you're probably going to have to go to a second one. Alright, clean off our heatsink. And lastly, I want to make sure I account for each of these thermal pads. Don't want to lose one. We're already short a pad. That's okay. We're going to blame that on the other guy. Now let's take a very close look at Danny's HDMI port. See why we've got so much red snow. Usually it's going to be our first couple pins here. Now this was really sent in for diagnosis, so we're not going to go ahead and put a new port on here, but let's see if we can clean this guy up. So definitely we have cold joints on our first couple pads. First three. 4 is a little loose. And as we go down the line, these are still moderately acceptable. All right, we're gonna give these first couple pads just a really quick reflow. Turn an almost broken port into an okay port while we've got it open. First things first, you want to get the board up to temperature just to speed this up a little bit. Not taking this off, so we don't need any hot air today. Just going to touch it a tiny bit with the micro pencil. Hurry here, so we're definitely going to just leave it at these last couple joints. I'm going to mix in as much leaded solder as I can. I can pull the excess material out from these bridges later. Should be good. Just helps me make sure there's a little bit more leaded solder underneath. Section of braid. good amount of material. We're just going to spread that solder out. Alright, should be an effective quick fix for Danny until he decides to get a new HDMI port. Which he does need a new HDMI port. Da, 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 da. Sure we don't have any flux gloves on the inside, and see if I burn myself because I'm not wearing gloves. Nope, just the tiniest residue on the inside. Alright, don't need a preheater anymore. I'm going to take a quick look at Danny's heatsink. Get some thermal paste on this, put it back together, and see what the HDMI looks like, or see how the HDMI works. Well, heatsink's pretty clean. And doesn't look so bad. See if we can scrape any dust bunnies out of there. A little bit. Yeah, definitely a little bit of nastiness in here. That's why it's good to have a nice long brush. Good action on the fan. Heatsink really still looks good. Ready to pop this board back on and see how it sounds. If we can open the thermal paste. Do just a little bit of a pea size. That's more than enough. All 8 pads on top. Looks like you got one set of cracked plastic threads in there. Not a big deal. One more set of strip threads, but that's okay. Nothing structural. Get our PlayStation screw in on the new hard drive. Got our Blu-ray power. Mangled a little bit by the last guy, but I don't think it's damaged. Blu-ray data. We are going to route our Wi-Fi around the way it's supposed to go, which is under this cable. stuff's in the mid plate. Definitely missing our little black board screw. That's okay. Still gonna run fine. And I am definitely gonna cure something on top of these wires. This is the one that was sandwiched. By the last guy. I'm just gonna quick put some conformal coat where it's really bad. Which we never use without UV glasses on. About a minute or so with the laser and this will be as good as new. And let's check it out. Alright, we have our PlayStation logo. We have an operating system, controller sync. And not a perfect, but a slightly more reliable HDMI port for Danny. So that's it for today. Our last step is to just give the customer a call, let him know the good news that he wasn't totally screwed, just a missing hard drive, and otherwise he's got a good machine. Thank you all for joining, and I will see you next time.